it's been great not having to talk about the starting quarterback this year.
Yeah.
You know how exciting that's been? Since when did I start doing Niners? 2018? Every year there's been some kind of, should they pay Jimmy Garoppolo? Should they not? Should they pay Jimmy Garoppolo? And then
Should
they do.
trade Jimmy?
And it's
Should
like,
they
okay, so Jimmy's the guy in 2018. And then he gets hurt. And then going into 2019, it's like, man, he's going to be healthy. He got the ACL. How's it going to be? And then he goes out in 2019 and he's really good. And they go to the Super Bowl and they lose in the fashion that they did. So you're going into 2020 going, is Jimmy the guy? He's going to be the starter, but how good is he? Deals with injury all that year. They draft Trey Lance in 2021. And every season after that was a
chaos.
Thank you. And now they have Brock Purdy. He's just a guy. I thought when the Raiders signed Gardner Minshew, that Gardner Minshew was that dude for them. Where they were going, all right, we have Devontae Adams, we have Michael Mayer, we have, oh my God.
We forgot his name last time.
Brock Bowers. Thank you.
Bowers.
Good
Lord.
Lord.
It came into that.
Nice job. Thank you. Yes. Here's why. Harrison, the name Harrison Bryant is a tight end. He was with the Browns.
Okay.
But he is the name that always comes into my head when I try and think of Brock Bowers. So the only name I can come up with is Harrison Bryant. Brock Bowers.
Got it.
And maybe they're looking at their team and going, yeah, you know what? We're just going to open it up, and Gardner Minshew is from Washington State. He will let it rip. Love this for him. And I read in ESPN today that they're having a legitimate QB battle there between Aidan O'Connell and Gardner Minshew. And this ESPN NFL insider, I believe it was Dan Graziano, I'll confirm that here in a second, thinks that it's going to be Aidan O'Connell who's the week 1 starter, and I don't understand. Help me.
So I'm a huge Minshew fan.
Yes.
But I also understand he's like NFL journeyman who he just pops in, he can be your starter. He's almost like a 4A baseball player, you know? Or a platoon player. He's so close to being like a starting level, long-term NFL quarterback, but just not quite. And I still, if you're the Raiders, you probably should have drafted a top-tier quarterback and let Minshew be the quarterback for a year or two, or 8 games, if that's what it works out, that you're just not very good and, it's time to give the rookie a shot. But I just felt like Aidan O'Connell, we had so many discussions last year. Has he done anything to show you that he's a guy? And the answer was every time, no, not really. He's just a statue in the back.
Right.
He's just this lumbering 1990s quarterback.
He's a backup.
Yeah. A backup or a quarterback from a generation or two ago.
Sure.
Not today. And so maybe we're wrong. Maybe he's got the big arm. I mean, he certainly can throw the ball. But I just think Minshew is one of those guys who he's better than his stats. And you have a better chance of winning with him than you do with most other quarterbacks. And maybe we're wrong, but I don't know.
So here's where I'll defend Vegas a little bit. They picked 13th this year.
Yep.
Obviously 3 quarterbacks off the board with the first 3 picks: Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May. And that was pretty expected. But then Michael Penix Jr., a player the Raiders were tied to a lot leading into the draft at number 13, goes number 8. And then J.J. McCarthy goes number 10 to Minnesota.
Okay.
They didn't even get a chance at Bo Nix, who went 12th to the Broncos. So I don't blame them for not going and getting a quarterback this year. In fact, the fact that Brock Bowers fell to them at 13, I thought was crazy. I didn't think he'd make it out of the top 10 based on everything that I was reading and hearing.
Okay.
So the fact that he falls to 13, yes, that's the right pick. Just good player. You'll figure out how to use them. Great. So I didn't even hate that they didn't go get a quarterback this year, but I think they're close enough. And with so many teams making the playoffs now, go start Gardner Minshew. Give yourself the best chance to win off the rip.
Yeah.
I don't understand the notion that Aidan O'Connell, unless, And here's what Dan Graziano wrote at ESPN. I think Pierce will feel loyal enough to O'Connell to lean his way. And if neither player separates himself during camp, I predict that's the way the Raiders will go in week 1. How long O'Connell holds the job will likely depend on whether the team is winning, but it wouldn't be shocking at all to see both of these guys start games in 2024, and someone totally different could be starting in week 1, 2025. Maybe, and again, you and I are not down in practices, watching in the Raiders building. Maybe Aidan O'Connell has taken these steps and these leaps, and they saw something last year that we missed, and they went, this is our dude. He's going to be the guy everybody rallies around. Great. I'm happy to be wrong here.
Yeah.
I'm just maybe I'm too high on Gardner Minshew. Maybe I'm too low on Aidan O'Connell and too high on Gardner Minshew. But I've seen Gardner Minshew quarterback enough teams now to think that he gives them a better chance to win this year. And the fact that they would even entertain Aidan O'Connell because of some loyalty, it's not like he's a first round pick. It's not like he went out there and gutted out 17 starts for them last year, which is really gritty and won them a bunch of tough games and this and that. Like that's not how last season went at all. They should feel no loyalty to Aidan O'Connell. None.
No.
He does not. I don't understand that whatsoever.
Yeah, and for me, I know a lot of people are like, well, what are they supposed to do? All these quarterbacks went before they drafted at number 13. The answer is you move up. You move up, or look, if you do want to go budget, like, is it just me or did Justin Fields go to the Steelers for like a 6th round pick? Like, was there someone else out there that you could have brought in that would make you more secure and them starting over Aidan O'Connell? Because everything you saw from Aidan O'Connell last year just said backup quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
That's okay. Like,
sure.
Like that's a perfectly fine job in the NBA, in the NFL, to come in and be a backup quarterback. I don't think that you can change who he is.
Mm-hmm.
That's not. Maybe he'll step in and be great. But I don't think that's going to be the case, especially when you had a legitimate star, like 25 snaps per game running back, and you let him go.
Mm-hmm.
And now, like, he's not a guy that you can put like a scat back with him and think that you're going to get through like doing like a bunch of like rollouts and stuff. That he doesn't have that in his bag. So I'm just like, I don't understand what the design is here, unless you're really looking for like the next Dan Johnson. It's like, oh, okay, well, that's what we're looking for. Like, you don't have the team to do that. So I'm
Dan
not
Johnson?
Yeah. I don't know.
Explain.
Like,
or are you just saying rando guy?
Well, no, just like
generic quarterback.
Just a big, tall guy that just stands in the pocket and gets lit up all the time and has no mobility. And when he does have mobility, you're watching.
Daniel Jones?
Oh, Daniel Jones. I'm sorry.
Dan Johnson is an A's legend.
Yeah. Daniel Jones. I'm sorry. That's what he looks like to me. Like peak Aidan O'Connell might be Daniel Jones. Maybe.
I wholly disagree. First of all,
you don't think
Daniel Jones is one of the most mobile quarterbacks in the league?
Well, once he's loose, he's fine, but he's still running around and he gets lit up all the time. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, I don't. If they loved one of the guys in front of them, then maybe you go trade up. But it's the same deal with the Niners not taking a tackle at the end of the first round.
Yeah.
They went, we think Ricky Pearsall is going to be a good player. So you get the good player instead of trying to reach for a player that, and Shanahan even said, we talked about it on Kawakami's podcast, where he said, we thought that players in the back of the first round had just a good chance as a player in the back of the second round to be a starting player. So I think that might be, and teams might not have been willing to move.
Well, I think there's a difference between a tackle though and your quarterback. The quarterback is literally what you're building your team around, most teams.
But I think this year it was the top 3 guys.
Yeah.
It was Williams, Daniels, and not Penix, but May.
Mm-hmm.
And then Penix, Bo Nix, and JJ McCarthy were probably not players worth trading, like, to move up from 13 into the top 8 where they would have needed to get for a player that they may or may not love.
Yeah.
Look at what the Niners did that. And they face planted spectacularly.
Yes.
But
and they paid for it for 3 years.
Yeah, and they got extremely lucky that Brock Purdy is great.
Very
as
much
a,
so.
As a
Very much so.
last pick in the draft. So I get why they wouldn't want to do that, but at the same time, I don't understand paying Gardner Minshew what they paid him, and then out of loyalty going with Aidan O'Connell.
Yeah.
That doesn't track to me. I don't love that.
No, I don't love it.
That's not
either.
my favorite thing.